Hugo Felix Vanterpool was a man of quiet strength, deep integrity, and steadfast commitment to God, family, and community. Throughout his life, he exemplified the values of duty, fairness, and respect, leaving behind a legacy of service to others defined by principle and purpose. Hugo was born on 11 December 1944 to the late Hugo Osmond Vanterpool of Great Mountain, Tortola, and Alphina Augustus Thomas Vanterpool of Chalwell Estate. Together, they had 9 children, 5 girls, Yvonne, Sylvia, Ina, Juliet, and Mabel, before the birth of Hugo, their first son, and 3 children after, Reuben, Beryl, and Joseph Vanterpool, 5 of which preceded him in death.
What his reaction was? I understand that he wouldn't go to work for a whole day. Wouldn't go to work. Then he was pulled over the coals right by his boss the following day. He said, well, I was at home receiving my first son. He was obviously proud because he said the son must have his name. I must have his name. So he gave me the name Hugo.
Right.
My mother didn't like that. She didn't like Hugo.
Well, she didn't like his name?
She didn't know, well, she liked him, she didn't like his name.
Okay. So
she compromised because he allowed that she could put on Felix onto it. I was allowed to be called Hugo Felix. My friends after about teased me and said, well, she didn't like Hugo, but Felix is a cat name. We have a cat named Felix. Five girls before me, and they treated me pretty rough, but they didn't know how to treat the first boy. They thought he was a kind of girl, so they tried to do everything to make me be a girl. Dressed me up, put on bow on my head, take sticks and thing and cajole me into whatever form I want. They treat me pretty rough. I found out that girls ain't that nice, soft thing you think. Girls got it pretty rough.
Hugo was born into a peasant farming family and community, an origin that grounded him and one he remained proud of throughout his life. He very much enjoyed his childhood and would often tell stories of this time in his life, including the first time his father placed him on the back of a horse at the tender age of 2 or 3 years old.
But I could remember the first time my father put me on a horse. I was a small child. I don't think that I had any underclothes on. It was just a little top short. So there was I on the horse with my little bungalong swinging. And we holding on the horse after I let go.
And he let go.
And the horse walked off.
Oh.
And when the horse walked off, I promptly rolled off on the other side. When I rolled off on the other side, he caught me, of course.
From an early age, Hugo demonstrated a strong sense of responsibility and an appreciation for hard work. As the first son, he was naturally called upon by his father to assist with duties such as attending to cattle, weeding cultivated crops, going to the pasture, and generally taking the lead in farming duties when his father traveled off island for short periods.
As a bigger brother, he was called upon to do a lot of things. He was the one to be in charge. He had to take the lead, and sometimes our father had to go to St. Thomas. So in 29 days, and have to do a little work down there. And he had to leave somebody in charge of cows. And I remember we had some little boys there, some little 9-year-old boy, 10-year-old boy, 11-year-old, that kind of age. We couldn't take the full brunt of responsibility, although we had a lot. But he had to get a man from the village to help, to just supervise, you know. So we used to go out all the time together. And this guy had a habit when he milking the cows, go cuckoo. When he go cuckoo, he ain't wash his hand and go and milk the cows. He got to milk the cows. No, we didn't like it. But being the younger one, I wasn't the one to be bold enough to tell him he must wash his hand. One time, I can't remember whether he did mention to Mommy or not, but whether or not, he stepped forward. He said, Mommy said, you must wash your hand before you milk the cow, you know, cuckoo. He said, mother, listen. I was be telling her mother about what I do. He was not pleased at all. Not pleased at all, but from then, he take no chance, you know. He always wash his hand before he can milk the cow. Always he wash his hand before he milk the cow.
His education began at Miss Nora's School, a private school in the village of George's North Side, where he was taught the basics in English and mathematics. He often commented that mathematics was his least favorite subject because he sometimes had difficulty grasping the concepts.
I wasn't good at maths. The trouble is with me and maths in my young days, I didn't know how good I would have been because the audience teachers seemed to have driven the fear method to me. I was a little boy, for instance, who used to do not so well in math like the other children. And then the teacher came to me one day with what we used to call a paramedic. I remember clearly she was trying to introduce me to do division by two figures. I couldn't understand what she was teaching, but she was a very poor teacher. And she told me, you better get it. When she hit me the first time, for some reason or the other, from somewhere, inspiration came. Mr. Letson. Inspiration came, Mr. Letson. And I correctly answered every single question she asked me. I got that maths down and was correct. So I believe that somewhere along the line I was coached a little bit differently. I would have been all right.
Around the age of 11 years, he attended primary school at the Roadtown Elementary School, and at the age of 15 years, he was asked to be a pupil teacher, which marked the beginning of his teaching career.
I went to teaching when I was 15 years, making 16. The government, if they had any rules at all about all the art work, they break them and put me on to teach before I was 16. They just said children not to just stay in school until they make 16. So they break their own rules and put me on to teach around 15.
He taught as a pupil teacher at the then Roadtown Elementary School and then Miss Primary School between 1959 and 1966. From that point onward, Hugo's life of service was marked not by the pursuit of recognition, but by quiet contribution. He believed strongly in the importance of institutions such as the church, school, and community, and he served those institutions faithfully whenever he was called upon. At the age of 22 years, Hugo entered the Leeward Islands Teachers Training College in Antigua and spent 2 years in training, a common path followed by many other teachers of the region, and it was the institution where he met many colleagues and made lifelong friends both locally and regionally. Following his training, Hugo returned to the BVI and worked for 4 more years as a primary school teacher. Hugo entered the University of the West Indies and the United Theological College of the West Indies, Mona Campus, Jamaica, in 1972 to pursue a bachelor's degree in economics and history. For Hugo, pursuing higher education was not simply a personal goal. It was a pathway to growth, opportunity, and a better future. Determined to advance himself through learning and hard work, he remained committed to his studies and earned his bachelor's degree in 1975. In his own words, once he had obtained his bachelor's degree, his course was clear for advancement as long as he was ready to work. By this, Hugo meant that education had opened doors and created opportunities, but he understood that qualifications alone were not enough. Advancement came through a willingness to work hard, remain dedicated, and seize opportunities when they arose. He firmly believed that a sound education could shape a person's life in profound ways, and he credited his tertiary education at that time with giving him an academic and professional base to launch his careers in teaching and banking. After obtaining his bachelor's degree in economics from UWI, Hugo returned to Tortola in 1975 and joined the business department of the BVI High School, where he taught history and commerce for 3 years. Much later, continuing his lifelong pursuit of knowledge and self-improvement, he went on to obtain a master's degree in business administration from the University of Phoenix in the USA. To him, learning was not just about qualifications, but about opening doors, building character, and creating opportunity. He pursued learning for himself and, just as importantly, encouraged others to do the same. Hugo accepted Christ as his Lord and Savior at the tender age of 14, beginning a lifelong journey of faith that would become one of the defining foundations of his life. From an early age, his relationship with God was not simply a part of who he was. It shaped his values, guided his decisions, and influenced the way he lived and served others.
As a youth, around 13 or 14, we became involved, that is school children, with what we call prayer meeting coming home from school. So the gang of school children our area had their prayer meetings. The only thing is it turned into something serious. For us, we all mocking God when we sang the songs, this spiritual song. And I became serious about God from that time.
In 1965, soon after answering the call to ministry, Hugo began preaching as a local preacher in the Methodist Church BVI circuit, a ministry that would span more than 5 decades. His commitment and faithfulness led him to become a fully accredited local preacher in 1983, and he continued serving devotedly until 2018, when illness limited his ability to continue with the same physical strength. While his body slowed, his faith never wavered, and his commitment to God and his people remained steadfast. For Hugo, preaching was never about status, recognition, or title. He understood it as a calling and a responsibility entrusted to him by God. Whenever called upon, he willingly offered words of hope, encouragement, wisdom, and truth. His ministry reflected a heart for service and a genuine desire to uplift and strengthen others. Guided by prayer, grounded in scripture, and sustained by a trusting relationship with God, Hugo sought to live out the principles he preached. He believed that faith was not reserved for Sundays or church walls, but was something to be practiced daily through humility, kindness, perseverance, and service to others. Through his ministry and personal witness, many found encouragement during difficult times, strength during seasons of uncertainty, and reassurance in the promises of God. It was these same promises that provided him strength and assurance during his own difficult season. Beyond his professional life, Hugo was a devoted family man.
How was it that you and your brother conspired to ask me this question? I met Erlin first of all, met her properly and officially at the Teachers Association meeting. We were both teachers, so there was nothing especially romantic in that. But I used to see her when she was going to high school, and I was a teacher in the primary school. And I used to see her, she wasn't particularly beautiful. It is noticeable that girls when they reach certain age, 16, 17, be able to take themselves seriously, they be a little nicer, try to dress as nicely as they could, do their hair in special ways. So she fixed herself up. By the time I had gone to college and came back, so she was looking like a nicely spruced up young lady. So,
Okay.
She attracted my attention. Well, it is my experience that every girl liked me with some pretense. So there was some sort of a pushback. But I asked one of my friends from up in the area where she lived to introduce me specially to her. So he arranged it, he went, introduced me, and he said to me, go ahead, you go. She gonna party. Well, you are the evidence of that response.
After 5 years of courtship, Hugo and Erlin were joined together in holy matrimony on 20th December 1975, and this union brought forth 5 children and 5 grandchildren. Hugo placed great importance on nurturing his children, offering guidance and support, whether spiritually, emotionally, or financially, through every stage of their lives. Through family devotions, he taught his children how to pray, as well as the importance of individual and shared family prayer. He deeply invested in their academic growth, instilling the values of hard work, perseverance, and the importance of achieving success in order to give back meaningfully to the community.
It is most certainly the birth and the development of my children, particularly their education. To us, that is my wife and myself, this was the biggest expense we would have to meet, because we had put a lot of store on having the family educated. So for us to get you into school and get you into an earning position, that was our big aim. So we were proud to see that all of you came out with some level of education. You got past high school, that was number one. Then you one by one entered college or university. You came out, and to us that was the biggest crowning achievement in our life. It like we had succeeded. Anything afterward that the Lord gave us was gravy.
Hugo was not only a stalwart in his immediate family, but as the eldest son of Osman and Alfina Vanterpool, he was often considered the patriarch of the Osman and Alfina Vanterpool clan. He loved Christmas serenades and family gatherings, where he relished any opportunity to tell a funny story or sing one of his favorite songs, Jordan Stream, for the family.
From he was a little boy, we figured that he would be something great. Now he used to stay with with his grandmother when she was alive, when he was still a very small boy. When he was about 3 years old. 3 years old, Carl came up one day and he said to his grandmother, "Granny, I was running with all my mighty power 3 years ago. I was running with all my mighty power yesterday, and I fall down. And today, I just run ordinary, and I fall down. I will go. I thought I saw my father Abraham stretch forth the palm of his right hand to take me across Jordan Street. I thought I saw my father Abraham stretch forth the palm of his right hand to take me across Jordan Street. I thought I saw my father Abraham stretch forth the palm of his right hand to take me across Jordan.
Hugo was an avid reader with a deep love for writing, who possessed a lifelong appreciation for the power of words and storytelling. Reading was not merely a pastime for him. It was a source of knowledge, inspiration, and reflection. Writing, in turn, became one of the ways he expressed his thoughts, preserved history, and shared his perspective on life in the Virgin Islands. Through his love of literature and his passion for his homeland, Hugo transformed a personal interest into a lasting literary contribution.
And one thing used to bother me was that none of the books that we got to read was about our own country, its own environment, and so on. It was always about England or about America. Somewhere we got the books from. At one stage, I knew a lot more than about England through the eye of their authors than about the USVI. That's how we were. That's what where we came from. So I decided to change that to see if I could do something to correct that situation. So I had made plans from early that I would see if I could write.
In 1995, he published and released his first novel, Dusk to Dawn, Herald of the Virgin Islands. This accomplishment marked the beginning of a new chapter in his life, one that allowed him to combine his creativity with his profound appreciation for Virgin Islands history and culture. Years later, in 2013, he published and launched his second novel, Angus Shinnery, I am happiest when at home, further establishing himself as a storyteller deeply connected to the people and experiences of these islands. Even later in life, Hugo's passion for writing never diminished. His latest novel, Sonia Baldwin, one of St. Ursula's 11,000 Virgins, was finalized and officially published in 2025 and is scheduled to be launched later this year. In 1978, Hugo transferred from teaching to the post of Agricultural Project Officer at the Department of Agriculture. This placement evolved him into being one of the earliest employees of the Development Bank of the Virgin Islands, now the National Bank of the Virgin Islands. A short time after, he was promoted to manager, and he served in this capacity until 1999. The bank became fully established as a deposit-taking and lending institution under his tenure, evolving from modest beginnings that focus on small agricultural and fishing loans to eventually supporting larger commercial ventures and mortgage financing in later years.
I got the opportunity to go to be the project officer in the for the Caribbean Development Bank to operate in the agriculture department doing farming and fishing loans. But I was quickly made a manager after 3 years, 2 or 3 years I was made a manager. And we had a task before us to make a bank out of what was just 2 cabinets of very poor applications. Yeah.
Mm. How long did you remain as the manager of the bank?
20 years.
It was 20 years.
Yeah.
Okay.
20 going 21 years. Yeah. So I had the pleasure of seeing the thing grow. First, CDB had given us 3 loans. One was for agriculture and fishing. One was for, well, let me say, a loan of 200,000 for farming and fishing. A loan of 100,000 for student loan. And a loan of 100,000 for SIC. It was
Commercial. Commercial.
Commercial, no, it was small business.
Small business.
We worked with those. I remember the first time I went to CDB, we had done up some projects. For instance, we had $100,000 being offered to us in for industry credit. But we wanted to tell them, well, look, you're making joking on this thing ain't no money. So we did what projects we had came like 300,000 or 400,000. And I carried those stuff along with some others. And I decided that this don't make sense. You make this work. You don't even have the loans properly documented, properly accepted and documented, and you bring in a request. Tell students you have demand for 400,000. Ain't making no sense. But to us, it made a lot of sense. You was telling them that this money we're giving us is a little joke.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but we pushed and we pushed until we got them to do something more serious. Mm-hmm. They ended up giving us 1 million afterwards. They never ended up expanding the 1 million to 2 or 3 million. So you into it. Mm-hmm. Finally we got from them a housing scheme. The trouble with the housing scheme is that they were only allowing us to lend some $70,000. And the $70,000 was expected to do a house that would, but people were looking for houses that were costing between 140 to 160,000 or so, around that time. So we had a trouble.
Okay.
We had some trouble on our hand because people wanted the funds. But they wanted more than we were allowed to lend, and they couldn't understand why we would want to stick at 70,000, which was our ceiling, when the realistic cost of ours was at least 140, 50, 60,000. We tried to get around it by borrowing some funds from Social Security Board. And this stupidly stuck to the notion that because the Caribbean Development Bank had said 70,000, then that is what we needed to do. So they said, we'll give us some money based on the same criteria as CDB. But that CDB criteria wasn't realistic. And after a time, we know that we would have to cut out that program. If people continue, we ask, sort of thing. What we're trying to do is, on 70,000, we'll give at least the next 30,000 from Social Security funds, so you call it that local funds, carried up to at least 100,000. And people managed to build a modest house around that.
Hugo's work reflected a genuine and abiding concern for the welfare, economic stability, and long-term growth of these Virgin Islands. He understood that institutions are ultimately built to serve people, and throughout his years of service, he carried that responsibility with purpose and integrity. Always a practical man and one who firmly believed in practicing what he preached, Hugo understood that success was built through action, hard work, and the courage to invest in one's vision. Guided by these principles, he established Lloyd Hill Villas in 1987, transforming an entrepreneurial idea into another reflection of his foresight, determination, and unwavering work ethic. At a time when the tourism industry in the Virgin Islands was evolving, Hugo recognized the opportunities emerging within the territory and envisioned accommodations that combined comfort, quality, and the peaceful charm of country living. Guests were welcomed into country-style luxury accommodations where the beauty of the surrounding landscape, the tranquility of the hills, and the hospitality of the Virgin Islands could be fully appreciated. True to his character, Hugo continued to grow and expand the venture over the years, reflecting both his entrepreneurial spirit and his confidence in the future of the territory. Today, Lloyd Hill Villas continues to thrive and stands as a lasting testament to his vision, perseverance, and commitment to building something meaningful. In 1999, Hugo stepped into the political arena and offered himself for public office by contesting a seat in the Legislative Council as a representative for his beloved 5th Electoral District. For Hugo, this was not simply a pursuit of office, but another expression of his long-standing commitment to people and his desire to contribute to the continued development of the Virgin Islands. Although he was unsuccessful in his bid, Hugo did not allow the outcome to define his purpose or diminish his commitment to service. He understood that meaningful impact was not limited to elected office and viewed setbacks as part of life's journey rather than its conclusion. True to this resilient spirit, he continued forward with determination and purpose. Hugo remained a farmer throughout his entire life, only stepping away when he was no longer physically able to move around on his legs. Farming was never simply a pastime for him. It was a way of life and a reflection of his deep appreciation for hard work, self-sufficiency, and the importance of the land. Even as life carried him into banking, business, education, and ministry, his connection to agriculture remained constant. Over the years, Hugo became a practical enthusiast of agricultural science, taking a thoughtful and strategic approach to farming. He paid close attention to crops and livestock best suited to Tortola's climate and terrain. understanding that successful farming required adaptation and long-term thinking. He took great pride in rearing Virgin Islands white sheep and Senepol cattle, recognizing the value of resilient livestock that could contribute to sustainable food production and provide for families and communities. His passion extended equally to cultivating crops such as sweet potatoes, cassava, pigeon peas, bananas, papayas, breadfruit, and avocados. He also enjoyed grafting and successfully developed hybrid mango trees that continue to bear fruit today, serving as a lasting reminder of his care and dedication. Hugo understood the importance of food availability and sustainability in the territory long before such conversations became commonplace. Through his lifelong commitment to farming, he demonstrated not only a love for the land, but also a deep belief in building a stronger and more self-sufficient Virgin Islands.
In 2000, Hugo once again returned to teaching, this time as a senior lecturer at the H. Laverty Stout Community College, where he taught fundamentals of business, macroeconomics, and microeconomics until his retirement in 2012. He approached lecturing with the same dedication, preparation, and sense of responsibility that characterized every role he undertook. For him, education was never simply about delivering lessons or completing coursework. It was about helping students understand the world around them and preparing them to think critically, pursue opportunities, and contribute meaningfully to society. His classes were enriched by his broad experiences in banking, business, agriculture, and public life, allowing him to connect theory with real-world application in ways that resonated with students. Having experienced firsthand the transformative power of education, he encouraged students not only to pursue knowledge, but also to embrace discipline, hard work, and personal growth. Through education, Hugo continued doing what he had done throughout his life, investing in people and helping to build a stronger future for generations to come. After his retirement in 2012, Hugo entered a new season of his life. But retirement for him did not mean slowing down or stepping away from purpose. True to his nature, he remained actively engaged in the things he loved most, continuing his work in farming, managing the family business at Lloyd Hill, and faithfully carrying out his ministry as a preacher. As long as his strength allowed, Hugo remained active and involved. Eventually, illness placed physical limitations on what he could do, making it increasingly difficult for him to continue these activities. Yet while his physical strength declined, his determination and mental resolve remained remarkably strong. Following his extended stay in the hospital in 2023, Hugo accomplished one of his final and most meaningful achievements by completing his last novel, Sonia Baldwin, one of St. Ursula's 11,000 Virgins. Finishing this work required tremendous perseverance as he navigated physical limitations and emotional challenges, making its completion one of his proudest moments. It reflected the resilience and determination that characterized his life. Hugo Felix Vanterpool will be remembered as a man who served without fanfare, spoke with purpose, and lived according to enduring values. He was not one to seek recognition or praise, but instead believed in living a life grounded in service, integrity, and faith. His legacy lives on in the lives he touched, the standards he upheld, and the example he set. He will be remembered with gratitude, respect, and affection. Above all, the testimony of Hugo's life was one of service to family and others, grounded in deep faith and an enduring commitment to a mighty God. May his soul rest in eternal peace.